professional, my dear.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Hi, Gaetan. Hi, Roman.
Hey, good morning.
Hello
Good
to the
morning. How are you guys
audience.
doing?
Hey, audience. Good
Yeah,
morning. We
yeah,
have Kathy today.
yes, yeah. Actually, I won't be here next week. I wanted to show you
What?
guys before we go any further. This is what my new studio is going to look like. See where the windows are there? That's where the desks are. And I will be there as of next Sunday. So I'm pretty excited about it. Dale's driving me down
Ooh.
and with Charlie, and I've been able to put all of my stuff into a 5 by 5 by 20 inches high. So I'm like just free of everything. I'm totally minimalist. Yeah. So anyway, today's show is kind of a dear to the hearts of both Gaetan and Roman and myself. We want to talk today about why people move mountains to help dogs. And then there are some people who just don't give a damn at all about a dog. What is it that moves people? We know that we're hardwired to help others, and we realize that that's something that everyone is supposed to do, is help others. But when it comes to not only dogs but to animals, but because this is the Dog Connection show, we'll say the dogs. But
Mhm.
studies have shown that the positive impact between humans and dogs is just insurmountable. So, okay, let's talk about why people move mountains for dogs. Roman.
Well, I can say for my mountains, I moved to move in with my dogs. So you see an RV here. Like that's an RV all the way down here to the front lines.
Uh-huh.
And the reason why I bought an RV and we spent pretty much $40,000 is to have our dogs with us. But I know in general we have the saying the dogs are the man's best friend.
Whoop. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
It's okay.
I'm bad. I'm bad.
So we have a history of more than 40,000 years. Look, the science can prove 40,000 years, but we know there's more than that of dogs and people live together in harmony. And I don't think as a humanity we would be so far without the dogs keeping us safe, going with
Hmm.
us hunting, protecting our flocks, protecting our families. So we see there is a spiritual connection from the very beginning. And I know many people think that dogs don't have a spirit. Okay, this is all belief system. However, now we know that dogs have emotions and dogs, create families just like we do. The
Hmm.
main difference is that we are upright and they're on their four legs. Plus, we have an ego and they don't, from my perspective. Um, so we see that dogs have this very complex spirit around them. They're healers, they're companions, they're teachers, they bring lessons. I learned a lot from dogs. I learned about myself a lot because they're reflecting me. They're mirroring my emotions. Why would they do that?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
There is a spiritual mechanics behind that.
Hmm.
And as an energy healer and Reiki master teacher, I know how to tap into energies and I know how to get information from those energies. And back then, being as engineer from trade, I was like, that's just BS. Oops, sorry. And that doesn't exist. I don't see it. I cannot measure it. It doesn't exist, kind of thing. Until I had my first experience and getting information that I did never had access to, and they
Hmm.
came out through, and I got it from a dog. And that's why I said I would do everything possible in my life to make things happen for dogs. My whole career is around giving people opportunities to move their own mountains for their dogs.
Mm-hmm. Well, Gaetan, you have been a spiritual leader for quite some time, and in influencing people on how to help others and be kind and empathetic and generous. So when it comes to the relationship of a human to an animal, doesn't necessarily have to be a dog, but like I said, in this case, a dog. What do you want? What can you share with us about the lessons of the feelings that you get when you contribute to the well-being of others?
Well, by nature, humans have the tendency to share and help each other. That's the nature of the human being. When there's a communication with another species, then there's a communication at many levels, at the physical level, but there's also at the conscious level, spiritual level, emotional level. And sometimes I can see this very simple. I see a similarity between human consciousness and animal consciousness. And in the similarity I see is that in the animal, like in the human, there's a conscious of the present moment, a conscious of other beings around, living beings in the surrounding. And like animals, we have consciousness, and the animal has, like us, consciousness. And this is where there's a way of communication and a way of relating. Some people will look at their pet like a child, and they will have a relation like parents to child relationship with a pet. And it is to understand that life is one, and there's no division or separation between the different type of life. And at the core of the life, that's my belief, there's the soul. And the soul will migrate. Well, the soul, for my definition, is a drop of the ocean of all consciousness. It's a drop of God. And that little drop of consciousness, we say God is the ocean of all consciousness. That's my speech today. And I see in animals the same spark of life, a spark of consciousness. The expression of that consciousness is different depending on the animals, but at the end of the life of this animal, it's remained to be a soul. And because there's a transmission, a transmigration of the soul, it goes from one form to the other. Ultimately, all soul will go back to God because all soul originate from God. And so that's what I see in living beings around me.
Okay,
And yes.
So what I was going to say is that people like the three of us are really all empaths. What that means, folks, is that we have the ability to be able to experience. We can look at a dog or we can look at a human and we can physically feel the pain that they are going through. And it's not a pleasant feeling. Sometimes it's not a good thing to be an empath because you take on that energy and it can physically make you sick. But beauty of being an empath is you have the ability to recognize and you have the ability to have a call to action. We're not just people that will look and say, oh, gee, that's too bad. We have this desire to move forward, step forward, take action, do something, be that person that makes the difference. And what this show is about is I'm having a difficult time in understanding why is there a disconnect when it comes to some humans helping a dog or any animal in need? What is it that they don't see that we see? And what can we do to help them to take action when it comes to seeing not animals, but a human. If you see somebody in need, why do you turn the other way? If cost wasn't an issue, if there was a resource for you to be able to do something to take care of that person, or that, I mean, if it's a person, you can call an ambulance, you can call the police. You, of course, maybe not today, you can't call the police, but you could call the police, or you can do something. But with an animal, you're pretty much on your own unless you know what resources are available. So there'll be a tendency to not want to help, not want to do anything.
Yeah.
So does anyone understand why it is that there are some people that think it's okay to hit an animal, or skin it alive, or put it into dog baiting, into dog fighting, and mistreat it and abuse it? What's the mentality behind that? I don't get it. I don't understand where people come from. Okay.
I was as an energy healer, I work also with people. So I work with people and dogs, and I try to connect those two together in a spiritual realm, like in an etheric realm. When I'm tapping into those people who have done several things to dogs, I work with a couple of clients who physically abuse the dog without knowing. They're acted upon their own trauma. So they recreate their trauma all over again. So they treat their dogs like they were treated as children, because that's what the idea is.
Good point.
The parent has to correct the child for being wrong. The child is wrong and has to be addressed, and this is the tools to do so. So if the dog is wrong, he has to be corrected for misbehaving, because you have to punish something that is wrong, and it's being imprinted. So it comes down the generations. When I do generational clearing, I try to find the source of it. So it's not something that happens between parent and child. It may be something that comes in from generations over generations, and it hits the last empath. I personally call them path cutters. They stop that path from happening by experiencing themselves and going through the process of recognizing what I'm doing is wrong, and how can I fix it, by associating or disassociating themselves from that experience. So I know from people who have been through severe abuse situations, and they cannot see their abuse happening to their dog, and they basically shut it off because they cannot handle it. They cannot handle feeling guilty of using shock collars or prong collars, so they disassociate with it. Oh, it's just, it's just, I needed to do it, so it's fine, right? And we see also people who have the dogs in the cars in Phoenix or in Arizona, and you says, your dog died because you left him in the car, and it says, no, when a dog must be sick.
Yeah, right.
150 degrees in your car, your dog is sick. Yeah, he got sick from your car.
Yeah.
But anyway, we see that there is an emotional factor to that. I'm not excusing abusers, and I'm not accusing or excusing people who do these things, but I want to have aware that these are victims themselves. They reproduce that trauma all over again. And these people have no good contact with people. They trust dogs more than they trust people. So we see it's kind of like they don't have a way out, so they trust dogs, but they abuse them because they don't know better.
Right.
And I think we are only here to kind of open up that conversation and help them educate, because if you want to heal yourself, you have to move mountains, and if that mountain brings you to your dog, that's the way to go.
Speaking of that now, I want to go to who the mountain movers are. Okay. And the mountain movers, think about this, folks. The people that are the ones that are in the trenches, they're the ones with the blood, the sweat, and the tears. They are the ones that are there. They will they'll put all of their savings into helping an animal. They are there. Those are the rescuers. Those are the volunteers, the shelters, the humane societies, that they're so generous with all of their time and resources, and they always find a way. If you ever notice, my dear friend Kelly, who go into Las Cruces, she has a rescue group that is a foster group. And these women are so dedicated to helping dogs and they network between each other with very minimal resources. I mean, they don't utilize all of the technology available, but they're on top of it. And they don't let a day go by without saving somebody and coming together as a resource. So kudos to all of them. But where does that mentality come from? Why? Because if you think about it, all of the people in the humane societies and rescue groups and the volunteers, they all have one common denominator, and that is that they love animals. Mm-hmm. And how do they perceive the animals? They see them as ones that cannot talk for themselves. They don't have a voice. They're in a confined environment. They don't have a choice. They have to be behind bars. What can they do? And these people become great problem solvers. They are the solution to helping an animal get freedom. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to show a, where is this now? No, not that. Yeah. Okay, let me share this. I wanted to show this. This is a kind of a good explanation here. Why?
When I'm watching a movie, you can pretty much do whatever you want to the hero, and I don't mind. But if their dog dies, I cry like a little baby with no tear shampoo. For D News. When I'm watching a movie, you can pretty much do whatever you want to the hero, and I don't mind. But if their dog dies, I cry like a little baby with no tears. When I'm watching...
Sorry.
Yeah, I know. You got it. Don't panic.
Hi, everyone. Julian here for D News. We love our pets, and I don't just mean crazy cat ladies who eschew traditional human relationships for feline companionship. According to a 2011 Harris poll, 90% of pet dog or cat owning Americans consider their furry cohabitors part of the family. Movie makers exploit our empathy for animals all the time. If we're supposed to like a character we just met, give him a loyal dog, and boom, instant good guy. And yes, I realize supervillains have white, fluffy cats on their laps when they swivel their armchairs around, but I mean, come on, cats are like the physical embodiment of evil. Full disclosure, I am a dog person. But I guess evil things we love too, and so here we are with cats and dogs as valuable members of the family. They might even be the favorite member of the family because the American Animal Hospital Association surveyed married female dog owners, that is, dog owners who were female and married, not owners of married female dogs. English. Anyway, 40% of the women surveyed said they got more emotional support from their pet than from their husbands or their children, which is terrible. Come on, people, call your mother. So, why do we care about animals? Or I suppose I should narrow that down. Why do we care about certain animals? After all, most of us still eat bacon or chicken, but cringe at the thought of eating Mr. Whiskers. It's probably because animals, like our house pets, are cute. They have big eyes, they can be kind of clumsy and dumb, and they're innocent. In that way, they're an awful lot like babies. And we think of babies as cute because otherwise it would be really easy to abandon a screaming, pooping, chubby, bald mini person in the woods somewhere. We feel attached to cute babies even if they're not ours. A 2009 University of Munster study asked women who had never given birth to look at pictures of babies inside an fMRI machine. The women were in the machine, not the babies. English. The pictures activated parts of their brains associated with reward, and the cuter the baby, the more that region lit up. Men had similar reactions, but not as strong. Some of the same chemicals that make people go all melty for babies are present when we deal with pets. A recent study found that oxytocin, the hormone that facilitates bonding, went up 300% in dog owners who gazed into their pets' eyes. So it's possible animals are hacking into our love of cuteness, and by extension, our instinct to protect the helpless and innocent. But the difference is we see puppies and dogs as almost equally innocent, but it's not the same with babies and human adults. To illustrate this, 240 students at Northeastern University were given 4 different versions of a fake news story where assailants either severely injured a toddler, a puppy, a dog, or an adult. They were then surveyed on their emotional reactions, and the puppy elicited a stronger reaction than the dog by only a narrow margin. The adult human got the least amount of sympathy by far, and the toddler got the biggest response. So the good news is that people, when it really matters, will opt to save a human life over a dog. Probably. Georgia Regents University psychologists asked 573 people what they would do if a bus was hurtling towards a person and a dog and they could only save one. If the dog was their personal pet and the person was an unknown tourist, the tourist would be a messy red hood ornament 40% of the time. If the choice was between a strange tourist and a strange dog, though, the tourist odds were much better. They'd be unwilling bus passengers only 14% of the time. Interestingly, women were almost twice as likely to save the dog, which fits in line with the cuteness hypothesis from earlier. So I guess if you're going to get hit by a bus, try to do it near a man? So we like our pets more than adults, but we don't like them when I'm watching them as much as our babies. And for the
Okay. All right. So now I wanted to go down here because they get another one here. Study reveals. Okay, here.
We have a stronger connection with our dogs than we thought. According to a new study in the journal Science, it helps explain why, out of all animals, dogs have become so domesticated and important in human society. The study proves the bond between humans and their dogs can be as emotionally strong as, get this, the connection between a mother and her children. Apparently, it's all in the eyes. The study shows that the eye connection between dogs and humans increases the level of oxytocin, which is, quote, the cuddle chemical. It's a hormone mammals produce that encourages bonding between mothers and their offspring, and it seems to be something produced between humans and man's best friend. This is the first time it's been studied to work between species, though. Most of the time, humans produce oxytocin because of other humans, while dogs are with other dogs. Basically, the researchers measured the oxytocin levels in 28 pairs of dogs and their human owners before watching them for 30 minutes. People then talked, petted, and looked at their pets. Researchers then screened the dogs and humans again. The owners and pets that gazed at one another more showed increased levels of the oxytocin. According to one of the lead researchers, Evan McLean, this suggests that this gaze behavior is really critical in oxytocin release. When they receive oxytocin, this causes dogs to look more at people, and the more they look, it boosts oxytocin levels more. Interestingly enough, though, wolves, which dogs descended from, do not experience these heightened levels. Make sure to check out more Newsbreaker stories on newsbreaker.tv and tune in on iHeartRadio.
Sorry. Okay, so the reason that I brought that up is because when it comes to rescuers, I have to say that every rescuer I know looks the dog in the cage in the eyes. It's like they well, because they say, come here, baby, come here, because they want to see their eyes. They want to see their face, because that's how they can tell that personality. If they're looking at the rear end, or the dog is in the corner, or they're not paying attention, they don't feel that they've made a connection. They want to make a connection. So, okay, that's it for me. So now, what will motivate a person to help a dog in need? What can we do? What can we do you think, guys, as individuals?
Me? Okay.
Gaetan, yeah,
in my
Gaetan.
direction.
Yeah.
Well, may I step back a little bit?
Sure.
and come back to the point of Roman was mentioning the connection. In our society, that we're lifestyle, we're disconnected from nature in general, most of the time, if not 90% of the time, if not 99% of the time. We're living in a city, for instance, and most of us, 80% of the population in the US, live in a city or near a city or in urban environment. It can be the suburb, but it's with people in buildings, and most of the time away from nature. And this disconnect with nature has an impact on our understanding of nature. That's my take on this. When it's time to interact with animal, and we see an animal in trouble, either a dog, a cat, a goose, or anything, a pigeon would hit the car, we kind of don't know what to do. And if it's a case of a dog or a cat, we know, okay, veterinarian, a dog or animal hospital nearby, we can make a call and see if we can get help from somebody else to help us helping the animal. The reason why we want to help, I believe, is because we recognize the importance of life, And what is the most important thing in life? That's a question I ask sometime in my workshop. And people say, well, health and this and that. But the most important thing in life is life itself. And when we see life disappearing or be challenged, we have a tendency to go and do something and try to find some solution to maintain life and protect life. And so I don't know what your question was exactly at the beginning,
Oh,
but
it
maybe
was what motivates a person to help a dog in need? What is it? What is it that they feel inside? What would you want to help?
the,
You know, you
the
see so many pictures
right.
of people that will take a picture, or they'll take a video, but you don't see them go into action. If say they see that dog that has a chain around its neck, and it's only a couple inches long, they'll say, help, 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 help. Well, you're right
Right.
there.
Yeah.
Why aren't you helping? You're right there.
Yes. I think the value of life is what motivates people to help.
Yeah.
And that's my take on that. When life is challenged and the reaction is to protect life.
Well, do you think that there's some people that feel absolutely no compassion, no empathy, no generosity in their hearts whatsoever? It's all about me, 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 almost like a narcissistic.
Yeah.
Those people, I don't think we'd be able to change, but there's got to be something wrong with the non-narcissist person that doesn't recognize when someone is in need and does nothing about it. I wish there was a way that we had some kind of a paradigm shift that we could help them to understand that when you help others, you are really helping yourself. There
Yes.
is no better feeling than to know that you have given to someone unconditionally without anything needed in return. And
Yeah.
it just makes you feel good because you can what I personally like is I like to see the look on a person's face when I give them something. I love to see
Yeah.
the dog that was really the one in the corner, the one that was afraid, and then being able to get them to finally relax and trust. That gift of trust that dog gives to me is total reward for me.
And for the people who don't give any attention to animals, I think they consider animal as object and disposable
Yes.
and can be discarded and recycled, but not as a living being.
That's right. Yeah. Well, you know, there's something about, I'm sorry, there's something about how you can love a dog and you can love a cat and a bird, but yet you can eat a pig and a chicken. And, you know, there's the differentiation. We won't get into that. That's an altogether different show.
Yeah.
But there are some issues on that as well. What were you going to say, Roman?
Working in the energy field, like in a spiritual energy field, I see that there's a huge push of outside energy fields for us to not evolve spiritually. And if we call in a dog as sentient beings to support us in that ascension process, and we are turning against our dogs, then we will not achieve what we have to. Because we have no memory of what we're supposed to do, we call in our dogs to help us remember. Having a remembered dog in our family who is a backup file memory to us, the dog can see our potential because where the dog is coming from, he has access to our highest, let's say, collective. When we are called to help a dog, we are called to remember who we are. Who is that person who wants to help a dog? Is a person who is a healer and his energy field. And once you become aware of your potential, that you can help a dog using your trauma, your healing powers to help that dog, you make a conscious decision. Making that conscious decision helps you remember your tools. Now, I know there is a huge $80 billion industry that uses the disconnect between you and your dog to make money out of it and keep you where you are without you being able to evolve. Not your dog and not you either. Coming in from a
Yeah, that's a good point.
perspective that the dog is an object. Your dog is something that you have, the right to have, okay?
That you
And
own.
right, that you own. And by the way, he's your servant. That
Mhm.
happened basically the last 60 years, 100 years basically. Before that, the dog wasn't nobody's servant. He chose to stay in your yard. He chose to work with you. He chose to protect you, not because you have special treats and special dog food. It's because you have a co-relationship, a
Right.
synergistic relationship between you and your animals. Okay,
Mhm.
the industrialization is what makes us fall apart. So I call to action here, and I want people to stop for a moment and think: how is my relationship to my dog? Who am I in relationship to my dog? What does my dog see in me?
Mhm.
Am I his owner? Am I his master? Or am I his partner in that ascension process?
Yeah, look at this picture there.
Right?
Yeah, see, that shows the empathy of a dog. We forget that dogs have empathy too. They sense our moods and our reactions, and we don't value that, and we don't say, "Gee, thank you very much for comforting me." They bring so much to us. You're absolutely right, Roman. Yeah, what do they
And
see?
Gaetan said something very important here. He said that, oh, I missed the word now. Um, we have to become back into now. What is now? Now is what we're dealing right now, referring us to the past and try to predict the future. But we are
Mhm.
not acting now, and we are sitting in our trauma and we are sitting in our anger, which is in the past, or we are in our fear sitting in the future. We're not present with our dog. And what does the dog do? He offers behaviors to get us back into the present,
Right into
Mhm.
yes.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we
I
have to
agree.
become aware that the dog is trying to tell us something here. And it's not about being a dog whisperer, it's about being a listener to your dog's emotional states. It's not
Mhm.
only just, a body language, it's an emotional communication, empathy, sympathy, telepathy are emotions that are being exchanged between one individual and the other. And
Mhm.
I don't have a problem start talking about quantum entanglement. If you create your dog's relationship, you are in a relationship, not just in the physical body, not just in your mind, you are energetically connected. If you suffer, if you're late, if you're anxious, your dog gets that memo.
Mhm.
And if you're in fear, the dog will be protective. And you're in a victim state of mind, your dog will be guarding you.
Mhm.
And if you're angry and you take that on your dog, you will get the cost and the bill right presented to you with a dog bite,
Yeah,
with a
right.
behavior you don't want. So I never met another species, and I've been around the world a lot, and I've met a lot of animals. I've never met a species that is so honest about his emotions.
Yeah.
He's not hiding any emotions. His tail, his eyes, his tongue. There's no way a dog can hide his emotions. What we do is we lie to the dog all the time. We're scared the poop out of
That's
us,
okay.
and we ask the
Okay.
dog to be quiet.
Yeah.
Somebody
Yeah.
has to deal with this.
Yeah.
So call to action. Start listening to your dog. Start listening to that voice that tells you, Mom, I need to go potty.
Mhm.
Mom, I'm hungry. Mom, I'm stressed. Or Dad, I'm not being sexist here, I'm sorry. And we want to make sure that we start listening to that voice. And if you feel your dog needs to do something, then make that happen. Be a parent to your dog. Stop being
Very
the
good.
trainer. Stop
Yeah.
being the behaviorist. Just be a parent.
Mhm.
Dare
Yeah.
to say, I'm a dog parent. And if you think you're being only a parent to people, then you're making a mistake, because you have to parent elder people who cannot care for themselves. You
Mhm.
have to parent children who cannot care for themselves. You have to parent animals that cannot care for themselves
Mhm.
because they don't have access to food, they don't have access to freedom, they don't have access to exercise. They can basically do nothing without you, And if they do something, then you're punishing them because they peed on your carpet, scratched at the window, went under your garbage bin.
Mm-hmm. You're right. You're absolutely right. Whoops, what happened, Roman? Oh, we lost you for a second. So okay. I what I would like to believe, and I don't know whether this is fallacy or whether it's truth or whatever. I believe that, or what I would like to believe is that these rescuers and people that like-minded, like myself and like us, where we will go forward and to help an animal because we know that they have such capabilities and such giving qualities that if they were paired with people that they can change their lives for the better, we want that for them. We want that for them, and we want that for people. So it's a twofold thing. We know that if a dog is sitting in a shelter in a cage and is frightened, it's not doing any good, and it's not doing the person that's looking for a dog any good. But if we had the ability to be able to connect the two of them together, that person that wants a dog and that dog that wants a person and wants a loving home, if that connection is good, what a wonderful united relationship. So I think that's always the hope in a rescue mindset is, I find this dog a good home. That we always hear forever homes, freedom flights, things that bring dogs to the level where we know that they're going to be happy. Um, that's how I like to look at rescuers and those people that, as you put it, Roman, will move mountains
Mhm.
to help a dog. They'll go out of their way without any regard for wanting anything in return. But most importantly, if I think one of the paradigm shifts we can help with in our future shows is to help people to understand the value of a dog and what they bring to the table, how they can change lives and contribute to service dogs, guide dogs, those dogs that have been trained. Now they get trained, but it's instinct. A lot of it is instinct on their part. You know, they will automatically want to service and help that person. If they're shown a way to do it, that's great. That's my 2 cents. What do you think?
We can learn from Doug. And the reason why I get involved in the show, I said that before, is take the example of service dog, for instance, as an example of the service dog for human to serve human. And that's why I'm involved in the show, is because there's lesson we can learn from dogs or cats or pets or animals. And the goal is to make life better for everybody. And
Right.
we can learn from dogs good lesson.
Yeah, and if you're less than whole, and if you need assistance, and that dog has the ability to help you to make you whole, then that's a great connection and a great combination. So
Yeah.
kudos to all of those groups that are there to service the dogs and make them comfortable and find them good homes. Last thoughts.
We have to be careful because in that group of volunteers, in that group of empaths, in that group of people willing to help, there are parasites among
Yes.
us. I would basically call it out. There are people who are narcissists, people who are abusers, people who have emotional satisfaction of feeling at the center point of having done the job. Take dogs, pull dogs from a shelter, hoarding them at home, collecting money, and then dump them in another shelter.
Yeah.
Okay. We as a group of empaths, of dog lovers, of people who want to make that paradigm shift, we have to expose those who take advantage and ruin the work of thousands of people who, dedicating their lives, staying away from home, are less home for their children and their family members because they want to help those animals in need, because these are healers. We need to help and identify rescues who are doing the job selfless and not for benefits or profit. We want to encourage trainers who support those rescues and shelters. Everybody has to get paid for his services at some point, because some people cannot afford doing that only, right? But we have to recognize there are many people out there who are thinking they're doing the right job, who are thinking they're doing the good thing, but basically do it worse. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, the industry is not regulated here in US at least. Everybody can call in a 501c3 rescuing dogs and abuse them without actually knowing that. Okay, and
Right.
we need to give people who want dogs, adopt dogs, the educational base for them to get educated, to become real parents and not unfortunate abusers.
Right. Yeah.
Without knowing it, because there's
Yeah.
no education out there. I create classes for that, for people to join and learn how to be a parent. It just takes you a week and be done with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I teach boarding facilities and professionals how to come into that concept of service for animals is healing a behavior, not correcting or punishing a behavior.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a long road to go.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I do feel I'm doing a change here. And I
Yes.
appreciate you guys, because I wouldn't be here joining you guys if you haven't started it.
Oh, well, thank you very much. It's a real passion, that's for sure. And with the people that don't really get a dog right now or a pet, and they don't want a pet in their life, I have to say that if you find the right pet, even if if you foster, of course you have to qualify to be a foster, but if you do have the wherewithal and you have the mentality and you're willing to give it a try, there is nothing more wonderful than to have an animal in your life that will love you unconditionally, guard you, and change your life forever. It's your best friend. It's the go-to. It's the it's like the frosting on the cake. It's everything. So, okay, everyone. Great show. Let me see. We have one more comment here. Let's see. She says, I just got a dog from a hoarding situation. So then you know, Carolyn. Okay, so everyone, thank you so much. Thanks for watching the show. We really appreciate it. And
Thank you, Kathy, for being there.
Yeah,
being here
okay.
today.
I won't be here next week because
We'll do the show anyway.
okay, yeah, you'll do the show without me. Exactly.
No, it's not a question. Because you're moving.
Yeah.
That's an exception, because the
Yeah.
situation in the past few weeks was pretty demanding on your side.
Yeah.
We will do the show next week. We'll miss you dearly.
Okay.
And
And
we
by
look
the way,
forward-
this is my home. This is where I'm going to be. That's my
Wow.
new home. And again, this is the studio that I'll be broadcasting from the following week. So we're excited.
I look forward to be there and see you there. And
Yeah, Gaetan is going to be. You should fill the folks in, Gaetan, about what you might be, what you will be doing.
well,
You think you don't want to right now?
Well, I just give the broad stroke description.
Okay.
I have an offer to go film an operation of dog rescue. So we are working on the schedule. It will be at the end of the month, beginning of September at the latest. And then I will be able to have material, video, sound, and exciting stuff to be shown on the show right after that. So finger crossed.
Yep.
Okay. I hope that all the pieces will come together, but I did receive the invitation. We are working with the organization to get there. We're working on the schedule as we speak right now, and hopefully it will be done next week or the first week of September. Then we will have material to show in the rescue operation.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay,
I'm
everyone.
excited about that because that would be my first opportunity
Yeah.
to go out of my cage
Yeah,
and
right.
film somebody, some living
Yeah,
beings there.
yeah.
So I'm excited.
Okay. All right. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks, Gaetan. Thank you,
Thank
Roman.
you, Roman. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
As
Kathy.
usual, a
Thank
great
you,
show.
everybody. Share
Thanks.
with your friend the show. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.